Welcome to this video tutorial. This is the second one out of a series of 3 where I go through the 3 A-level papers for Sociology AQA. So this one's about paper 2. If I just show you the front cover, that is what it will look like. Okay, now for this one you will have an additional answer booklet. Now this is because this paper you can select the sections that you wish to answer, so I think it's to save paper, I would imagine. So you get an answer booklet with this one. Just exploring the front page, just familiarise yourself with it. So we've got 2 hours. You've got your basic instructions, so remember, as always, black pen. Make sure you've got plenty of black pens for that exam. You've got the paper name, and then it will give you a little bit of an instruction here. So this isn't like paper 1 where you answer all the questions. This paper, you answer all the questions from one topic in section A, and then you answer all the questions from one topic in section B. Okay. In the same way as paper 1 is also out of 80 marks, this one is out of 80 marks. So that means this is also 1.5 minutes per mark. Okay. So let's have a look at the one topic in section A. Okay. Now, the section that I teach is section A2, which is families and households. Okay, now each section in this paper will be formatted in the same way. It will have 2 10 markers, one which is an outline and explain, one which is applying 2 things from the item, and a 20 marker. Okay, so really straightforward to answer these questions here. So let's have a look at the family and households. Alright, so like I said, there are 2 10 markers. Both are different in what they are asking you to do. So do make sure that you practice plenty of these different types of questions. So this first one, outline and explain 2 ways in which women's involvement in paid work has affected family structures. It is worth 10 marks. That means you have got 15 minutes to answer it. It's asking for 2 ways, so I expect 2 clear paragraphs. I would make sure that you spend time in each of the paragraphs where you are describing what women's involvement in paid work. Are they doing more? Are they doing less? Are they working full-time, part-time, etc.? Since when are they more involved in paid work? Is there any legal changes that have led to women to be involved in more paid work? And then you have to link it to the second part of the question. How has it affected family structures? Okay, so if women are working, does that mean that they're having more children or less children? Are they having them earlier or later? Or are they not having children at all? So you've got a range of possibilities here that you could be talking about. Okay, so if we just explore the mark scheme for this one, so it's looking for good knowledge and understanding of paid work and family structures. To get the top band, you've got to link the 2. No links, you only get 3. So that just means you either write about just paid work or just family structures. If you're not showing the connection between the 2, you are limiting yourself to 3 marks. And then for this first 10 marker, it's analysis. So is it significant? What impact does it have on women? You might even want to comment about what feminists might say about this, just to get those marks. Okay. And again, 15 minutes to answer that one. The second 10 marker, also 15 minutes. This time they give you an item, and to get up the mark scheme, you have to make sure that you use the item. Okay, so as you read through the item, you are looking for 2 changes in the position of children. Okay, so you've got to find them in the item. They may give you up to 3 hooks that they want you to choose, and in 2 paragraphs you clearly want to start with what the change in the position of women is from the position of childhood is in the item. Describe what that change in the position is. Okay, and how does it impact society in the last 100 years? And do that twice to make sure that you get up the mark scheme. All right, so if we just look back at the mark scheme for this one, you will see that you'll need to show good knowledge, develop the application from the item, follow a logical chain of reasoning, so link concepts, theories, studies, just to make your explanation as deep or as full as possible. And here they're giving you the option to analyse or evaluate. Okay, so to what extent is there any criticisms, is there any class differences, gender differences between children or whatever that you can use. Okay, so again, 2 10 markers, 15 minutes on each. That leads to 30 minutes, and then the remainder of this hour on this section you are going to spend 30 minutes on a 20 marker. Okay, so again, 20 marker. If you have done the ASA level in sociology, you'll be really familiar with these. These questions will be exactly the same of what you will have been doing at AS. Okay, so they give you the item formatted in exactly the same way. I would expect you to answer them in exactly the same way as you would do as an AS student, especially for 20 marks. They're asking you to do the same thing. So use the item, use your knowledge, evaluate, so that makes sure that you need to support the question. So is the division of labour and power relationships equal? And evaluate it by critiquing it to suggest that it's not equal. This one in this case is 2 parts, so I expect you to refer to the division of labour in a separate paragraph and power relationships in different paragraphs, because they're 2 totally different things. So just make sure that you address both of those, and make sure that you are using the item. So it's saying some sociologists, so I would expect you to be mentioning feminist, postmodernist, functionalist, for example, even different types of feminist. Especially as an A2, you should have a little bit more deeper of knowledge. Okay, so that's basically the family section. I'm going to do another video tutorial talking about using the item, and I'm going to look at this question in particular, so you might want to listen up for that one. That's probably going to be later on this afternoon that I do that. Okay, so this full section is worth 40 marks, minute and a half per mark, which leads you to 1 hour, and then you need to then start flicking through the pages to look for section B, and within section B you do the same. You choose the section that you have studied, and you answer all the questions within that section. So as you can see, there are 2 10 markers in this one, exactly the same as the other section. One is an outline and explain, the other one is apply material from the item. Okay, so this first one, oh, just a reminder, my students do beliefs in society, so that's why we're going through this one. So for this first one, outline and explain 2 ways in which the growth of sects and new age movements may be related to secularisation. It's worth 10 marks, 15 minutes, and this is the one that you've got to link one part to the other part. So in the case of here, you've either got the growth of sects or the growth of new age movements, and how are they related to secularisation. So you've got 2 paragraphs. I would suggest that you do one about the growth of sects, and then talk about why there's been a growth of sects, what's caused the growth of sects, and how might that be related to secularisation, and then do the same for the second paragraph, the growth of new age movements, and again link it to secularisation. If I just show you the mark scheme, so if you wanted to have a go at that, you can see what you need to be doing. But to get in the top band, you need to show good knowledge and understanding of sects, or, because it's got a little bit of an indication, so either or, sect or new age movements, and of secularisation. Both are fully applied, and then there is appropriate analysis, so you could discuss about a little bit more detail about is sects attracting middle class, working class, males, females, old, young, so you can do some little bit of analysis there. Okay, failure to link one part to the other means that you will be limiting yourself to 3 marks if you don't do it at all. If you only do it once, you are putting yourself into that middle bracket. Okay, Second question, another 10 marker, and again, same way as the other 10 marker with the item. You read the item, read the question, so it wants two differences between sciences, religion. You look through the item for the hooks, so to speak, and start each paragraph with the item. Bit of a description of what that bit from the item is. Then link it to belief systems, explain how it's related, and then on this one you can show a little bit of evaluation. Do that twice, just to make sure that you are getting yourself into the top band. If we flick over to the mark scheme there, it just gives you a little bit of an overview. So they're expecting you to apply from the item. Failing to do so, you don't get above 3. Do it once, get into the middle band. Do it twice, pretty well, you get yourself into the top band. And just that little bit of a mention there that you can either analyse or evaluate there. So you might want to have a little bit of a go at those. And then your last question, 20 marker again, very similar to the 20 marker that you'll have answered in section A. 30 minutes to answer it. Use the item. Read through the item, that will give you clues, and again it's an evaluate. So you've got the view that religious beliefs and organisations are barriers to social change, so indicating its conservative force, for example, and then you can critique it to suggest that religious beliefs and organisations actually create social change. And you can look at both sides of the argument there, using the item for examples, hinting that the sociologist, so we're expecting to see theoretical background in these answers as well. Okay, so just a reminder, this full section is worth 40 marks. That equals an hour. So section A, 40 marks, an hour. Section B, 40 marks, an hour. I would suggest that you just make sure that you keep writing for the full amount of time. So just a little bit of an overview of this exam paper. I'm assuming that, like my students, you are doing family and you're doing beliefs. Of course, have a look at the exam papers if you do any of the other sections. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll try and answer them for you. Thank you so much.